I'll give you one chance for you to guess why this week I decided to watch the latest Netflix film, Wish Dragon. If your answer is because of dragons, congratulations. Ah man, Wish Dragon. How did I come up with this movie? Here's the funny thing. I remember that I saw the trailer, months ago. I don't remember when. The only thing that came out into my mind is that, well, it has dragons, but it's another one of those American Chinese productions. So, considering that a little bit of the Chinese productions have a little bit of the bad reputation, which I usually blame it on Disney and some other stuff that I'm not gonna go too much into. I was kind of like rolling my eyes out, but that doesn't mean that I hate the Chinese or something like that. I mean, I like their art, I like their culture, and remember that last year I did enjoy the remake of the Enter the Fat Dragon, as well as in ways Over the Moon. Even though Over the Moon I had some of my issues. But still, I can watch anything that comes up from any other country. I did watch movies from Denmark. I've seen from Russia. I've seen from Korea, etc., etc. Personally, I think the South Korean ones are probably some of my least favorite. Not because of the quality of the film, but mostly because they came out as being some of the most depressing films I have seen in my life. So anyway, after seeing that trailer, I do remember that this film then kind of disappeared out of my mind, and I was like, nothing happened until a few days ago, while just surfing on YouTube. I just came upon, people, some few YouTube thumbnails saying that, hey, this movie, it feels underappreciated. Why it slipped off the radar? And I was like, really, is the movie really good in order to having people kind of say that? It got me curious, but still, hey, it has dragons. I'm in. Animated dragons is kind of like part of my favorite genre of movies, I'll say. So anyway, I decided to watch it, and let's say that I should have known a lot more about this movie, because from the beginning to end, I was just watching the movie, just going through, the process of technically trying to enjoy the film, looking at if it's good or bad or something like that, until finally we got the end credits, which I usually stay to because of some when I get curious to know who did who. And then one name appeared in the producer's credit, and that was reason enough for me to feel like, dang, I should have known about this movie, and I should have made my way to watch it. And you know why? Because one of the producers of the film is none other than Jackie Chan, my favorite actor of all time. And if you know me, I went through lengths to get this book, and if you remember, yep, the autograph. So he is he's a person that I admire, I respect. I read the book and I really enjoy it. Even his latest movies I really enjoy. I mean, and honestly, it's been a while since I watched one of those films. It's because, well, let's say that it's rare now to see one of his movies at least on the big screen. So if I had known that he was part of it, then I will have gone beyond to try to watch it. But okay, even without that, A Dragon was still enough to pique my curiosity about this film. So I watched it, and I gotta admit that I had an enjoyable time. And as a movie, is honestly pretty decent. It's no masterpiece, but at least I enjoy it. I enjoy it. This is probably a more enjoyable movie than kind of like the usual Netflix movies that I stumble across. I think I like this movie better than Over the Moon. That's the kind of like the I like this movie much better than Animal Crackers. Wow, like man, I now that I remember that film. But I will say that despite that, I'm gonna give out this movie a lot of positive remarks. I'm gonna say that this film kind of falls into the traps of some familiar scenarios that it makes you remember other probably better films. Although to its credit, it tries to make it to take a formula and have its own road on how it's gonna tell the story. But I will say that it didn't do enough to push out kind of like this spark, which I will say, well, it may sound negative, but unfortunately it isn't. Sometimes people technically expect to wish more about that film. You know what? See what I did there? But I'll say that it is an okay film, and some comparisons, well, considering that we now have years of cinematography, some comparisons are inevitable. Okay, so let's go with the synopsis of the movie. The movie centers around this boy named Ding Song. He is this imaginative boy who meets this girl named Lena. They become best friends. They share interests. They share kind of like a beautiful friendship and a nice life in the poor suburbs of somewhere around China. Until, of course, they separated because Lena's father decided to move away because he's kind of like a CEO of a big company that he's rich and everything. So anyway, yeah, the two friends are separated until, of course, years later when we meet the older Ding Song. He's voiced by Jimmy Wong, according to what I see. At least in the English version, because this movie has an English version and a Mandarin version. Basically, our protagonist is kind of like this wide-eyed open, imaginative kid. He's very humble. He technically skipped school in order to get jobs so he can earn some money. Despite that, this all goes against his mother's wishes, in which she wants him to study and everything. But the big reason in which the movie has is that he is saving money so he can buy a nice suit because he wants to get ready for an occasion where there's going to be this big CEO party to celebrate Lena's birthday. Kind of like this big giant event for rich people. But because he's kind of like poor, or like the movie calls it, a peasant, He doesn't feel like it meets the expectation of the rich people and everything. The social economical conflicts that this movie gets into. That is until the kid then meets this really, really ugly old man that he looks like one of those criminals that comes from Craigslist. He gives him kind of like this green teapot in which it say that with this his wish comes true, and lo and behold, inside that green teapot there is this pink or magenta dragon. Voiced by John Cho. The dragon's name long, and according to him, he says that now Din has 3 wishes, and since he is the 10th master, once he is done with the wishes, he can now ascend to heaven. So basically, when you hear these words on the synopsis, you might be thinking, didn't I hear this plot somewhere before? And my answer is, well, yes. Let's not sugarcoat this. The plot is very similar to Aladdin. At least the Disney version. The good Disney version, by the way, not the piece of caca, which is the live action remake. God. Let's forget that caca doesn't exist. But anyway, yeah, a lot of the things that you're gonna see, it is really reminiscent to the Disney Aladdin version. A boy who lives in the streets wants to impress someone from let's say from an upper class. Even they allude that Lena is kind of like a princess, and the dragon, of course, has a little bit of the mannerisms of Robin Williams in a way. Although, thank goodness, the dragon doesn't spout out too much pop culture references or any of those things, because. Believe it. People try to imitate the Robin Williams genie formula, and they fail miserably. Case in point, like the dragon from Quest for Camelot, for as an example. So it doesn't do that, but I'll get to the dragon a little bit more. But I do have to say that, yeah, the movie also stars on a villain in which it's not exactly like Jafar, but let's say that it's technically these Chinese mafia goons in which it comprises of this white suited guy who he always has his hands in his pockets. He really looks like Lex Luthor for some reason, and the way he moves and he fights using only his kicks. It's almost like the Chinese modern version of Sanji from One Piece, and he's accompanied by kind of like this big guy who usually the big dumb guys, and kind of like a really really small guy with small legs who for some reason he kind of looks like a prototype of Gru from Despicable Me. But anyway, this is technically the rundown of the plot, at least in a simple ways. Now I think it's time to give you a little bit of a rundown of what I might thought of the characters. First of all, I will say that most of the characters are really likable. I'll say our main protagonist, it does also have this. This Aladdin vibe, a little bit on the way he talks, the way he aspires. Even the second act kind of feels like it gives out kind of like the Aladdin vibe. You know that he is a character that he has big aspirations. Despite that, he has a kind of like an over. I would say an overprotective or over-worrying mother. That this mother, let's say that she basically, well, she loves her child and everything. I think 50% of the movie, every time she kind of questions his motives, and she beats him either with a wooden spoon or a roll magazine. Like, hey, are you? And she almost like that. Hey, you're drunk. You're hiding alcohol, are you? I really want to say that this is sometimes kind of common the lifestyle of the poor in China, but this is just a speculation of me because I've seen, communities a little bit like that. Not exactly from the Chinese, but kind of like poor people. So maybe they kind of indeed they nailed that. And by the way, it's not exactly. You know what? I'm gonna draw my line there, or it's gonna get like that. But still, you can know. I like that you notice that that he and the mother really lives in a really poor area of the country, of a city of China. They have what is necessary, but they still live in a small apartment in which they have to be divided by a curtain. And whenever they squabble, the neighbors usually they're like, hey, how's it going? Oh man, they're fighting again. And much to the annoyance of them, like, come on, give us some space. But mostly, yeah, it's because our main protagonist, he really feels eager to see his childhood friend and eventual crush from if you kind of know how the movie will go. We also have Lena, who she's basically kind of like the princess, let's say, who she has a little bit of a character. Let's say that she also has her own set of problems. That despite the lavish life, she wants to have kind of like nice time with her father, but unfortunately, because these kind of movies always demand it, usually the rich father is the one that doesn't even have time for the children or something like that. Not because he's an asshole, but mostly because he doesn't these kind of jobs really demand. And this puts her in a situation that she feels empty inside. Which this is something that also it comes in contrast with our main protagonist. But one of the things that I do want to say is that there is something with the father that I actually really like. I'm not going to reveal it for the sake of not spoiling too much. And while a little bit predictable, let's say that the father also has his own set of problems, let's say. That's the least I will say it, and I kind of like that it went a little bit like that. And I think it is I already told you about the villains, that I like I actually really like the Lex Luthor kind of character. The kicking Lex Luthor. But I think it is for me to talk about the dragon, which easily the dragon is kind of like the best part of the movie. The dragon, he doesn't exactly come out, like the overly friendly genie with a lot of charisma. The dragon comes up as a kind of like has his own charisma in kind of like a more cynical way. And come to think of it, while I mostly describe him as the genie, I gotta say that I really kind of like the design of him. He's kind of like big, pink. He kind of looks like a bigger, bloatier, and magenta purplish pinkish version of Dojo from Shaolin Shaodan, if you remember that show. And in a way, the way he looks a little bit furry, he really looks like people can. I'm betting that people will probably ship him in fan arts for they're gonna ship him with Sisu from Raya and the Last Airbender. I mean Raya and the Last Dragon. I'm not gonna get tired to compare her to Raya and the Last Dragon, and with Last Airbender. Ah, what a coincidence! I'll get to that. But remember that I say that I wish I could have compared this guy more like the genie from Aladdin, from Disney Aladdin. For the most part, yeah, mostly on the way he is technically a wishing dragon. But the way he acts, the way and his goals, the way why he feels kind of desperate to get to heaven, the way the way that he sometimes come up and making some cynical snarks whenever he sees something new, because he's been trapped for how many years, and he's technically seeing that the whole technology world is kind of new to him. But the way he kind of acts, I think he's more reminiscent to Mushu from Disney Mulan, the animated one, which is funny considering that Disney Mulan had this controversy because of Mushu, and now we got this dragon who kind of acts like him. I'm not exactly 100% sure about the controversy of Mushu, but I am surprised they didn't contradict this dragon. Maybe some things they got it right. I got it right from him. So if I am ignorant or unknowledgeable about this, I apologize. Alright, now let's go a little bit with the technical stuff. Okay, where do I start? Voice acting. Let's go with voice acting. And they do fine. Our main protagonist, again, like I say, he's voiced by Jimmy Wong. The dragon, I didn't mention that he's voiced by John Cho. And he does a good job, I'll say, with the dragon. But here's the curious thing. The curious thing is that in the Mandarin version, the dragon is voiced by Jackie Chan himself. And man, that if I had known that sooner, I wish I could have seen the Mandarin version. Although, in ways I was like, you know what, Jackie Chan, I know that he is a little bit of a multilinguistic, so couldn't he have also made the English voice? But when I think about it, that will require double work for him, and I don't want to exhaust the guy, so maybe this is the big reason why they had to hire let's say some American Chinese voice actors in order to go along with the movie, having their own sets of English voice cast and another set of Chinese Mandarin voice cast. Maybe they did that. The music is so-so. I must say that it's okay, nothing memorable, but I feel like I want to say that there are kind of 2 or 3 moments in which they kind of add some pop music that honestly doesn't feel like it fits on the. It doesn't feel like it fits on the whole narrative. So I want to know if those pop music were inserted in the North American version, or it's also in the Chinese version, because they're English. These are English sung music. So, but either way, if this pop music is for the English audience, I want to ask these producers by saying that please don't do that. I want to hear also how other countries approach with their music. So what else there is? Animation. Again, I'm not gonna say much, but I will say that it's okay. It is the way it is done is kind of like a little bit of a downgrade compared to Over the Moon. It mostly feel like kind of like on par to the Abominable film. Um, it looks nice, nothing gigantic. The dragon again looks really good. That sometimes you see all these purple, pinkish, sparkly moments, which is you're gonna see a lot about this. The movement is very reminiscent, I'll say, to those Illumination works. I'll say that probably the best animated characters are well, the dragon again. That's how much I tell you how much the dragon is technically best part of the movie. But also, I'm gonna say that the pocket guy, the pocket guy that Lex Luthor looks like, his fighting style is really cartoonish, but it's also really kick-ass. So every time this guy appeared, I was like mesmerizing that. Okay, what are you gonna do? And sometimes he does really exaggerated rubbery style movements. Which is kind of like a delight. I'm not gonna lie about that. And I think that it is time to tell you a little bit of, well, it is a combination between the themes, but as well as the biggest elephant in the room, which is mostly the kind of like the comparisons to the Disney Aladdin film, which it goes a little bit beyond from just three wishes and then that's it. And this, although I did like kind of like the backstory of the dragon, I'll say, in which there's something more about this dragon which gives him kind of like a goal and his urgency to finish everything. Like I already said, the dragon technically is he technically has this kind of contract in which he has to fulfill 3 wishes to 10 different masters, and when he finishes fulfilling the wish to the 10th master, he can go to heaven. Well, they call it spirit world, but it's heaven. It's still heaven. So I like that. There's also kind of like this purpose that he's trying to seek, which it also connects to his personality and his previous lives. That I'm not gonna exactly reveal what it is because I don't want to get to spoilers. But it tells a lot. It gives kind of like a 3-dimensionality to the dragon's personality, which it comes a little bit in contrast with our main protagonist, Din, who he's basically again like Aladdin. He just wants to get to the higher grounds in order to meet his crush. He sees that she has her own problems, and well, he is basically having this conflict of where he stands for, what makes him happy, what life is. Mostly the movie kind of have a little bit of this socio-economical message saying that whatever you are, money doesn't exactly make you happy, which kind of gives out a little bit of the theme of this movie, which is, I know that the movie is trying to kind of have this simple message, again, kind of like the Disney Aladdin, in which sometimes the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, but sometimes you also have to be a little bit appreciative for the things that you got, and that not everything that makes you happy it dwells on the power of money and wishes. In which I'm glad that this one gives out kind of like a proper explanation of why is that, and some kind, it's a little bit of a reflection in one way or another. For a movie that kind of expected that our main character should have their eyes on the ground, and not having a little bit of realistic expectations. A little bit, this message kind of has a little bit of a conflict with them, because as much as we want to, as much as we want to say that money is not everything and all this, it is true. But unfortunately, we live in a world that is not exactly kind of like that. And if I say that, maybe it's because I've been watching this anime called Hunter x Hunter. And there is a character who he has kind of like a valid reason to be about the power of money and everything. Not gonna exactly say who or what, because it's not exactly kind of like this place for now. But but I liked how it went into that. But this is kind of like a small nitpick. Although I wish that also there was a bit more focus on kind of like the theme of our protagonist, Ding Song, but also Lena, in which both are characters that they are in their world, but they feel like empty. It kind of like, you know, this love world, kind of like these love stories that you get into these kind of movies. But these are also characters who they feel a little bit of pressure from their respective parents, because their parents expect them to look into the future and then make them feel proud of them. In which, honestly, if they could focus a little bit on that aspect, I think that this could have helped the movie deviate a little bit from the Disney Atlantic comparisons. Although I think that the movie at least has enough material to kind of stand on its own despite the comparisons. But either way, it does end up with a nice ending. I'll give it that. And overall, I feel satisfied on watching this movie, especially now considering that Jackie Chan was involved into it, at least as a producer and a little bit of a major voice actor. So, do I recommend this movie? Well, yeah, I would recommend it. Kind of like having a nice time. It's not exactly gigantic, like. I'll say that, to be honest, I like this movie. I think I like this movie a little bit better than Raya and the Last Dragon, mostly because, as much as I could say that Raya and the Last Dragon is a decent film, I do still have problems that Raya and the Last Dragon, it has a horrible message, a horrible way to of teaching children about trusting, and because it didn't kind of deserve it, so honestly, I think this movie does handle the themes a little bit better, and it's less naive compared to Raya and the Last Dragon. So honestly, Which Dragon, check it out. It's not a bad movie, but because of those Disney Atlantic comparisons, it kind of makes you wish for more.